Hey, it's Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today's the 18th. I did a biochar burn last night, and I wanted to show the results of this. Now, most things are affected by environmental conditions, and making biochar absolutely is. Like yesterday was a rainy day, it was a sunny day, it was a rainy day, sunny day. Our wood was wet. On a really dry day, we could have a cook-off or a gas-off very quickly. Yesterday the gas-off came late. It was sundown, but by the time it was really gassing off good. And these days that's pretty late at night, and you know, it's getting on towards going to bed for the night. And last night it was still cooking pretty good at about 11, and I was done, and I wanted to end it. So instead of coming out in the dark with the tractor and all that stuff and the safety involved with it, because got to take this cover off, got to lift that off with the tractor, and then you got to lift the inner retort out right there. You got to lift that out. It's kind of a two-man job at night, but instead of doing that, I just ran water into the bottom, and it just billowed steam up through the char, and I figured that would be good enough, but it wasn't. So I came out this morning, and it was still warm to the touch, so I knew I still had fire going on. But you want to get it to the point where it gases off, and then end it right there, and you'll get the maximum amount of char. That's not a bad load, but a lot of it's gone. And that's because it sits there and simmers all night. And when I dropped this out this morning, I got a wind coming out of the west, southwest as usual, and it flared up again, and I had to put it out. So put a lot of water on it, but that's all right. I do that most of the time. We figure that about a quarter of what we put in it is going to go away. And as I was thinking about this morning, I've said that this will produce about 250 pounds. And I'm not sure if that is a correct estimate. About a quarter of what I put in wood will reduce down to char. But I think if I weighed this, it is really quite light. I think you might find that it's actually lighter than that. So I'm going to have to get those numbers and get that run the ground, because I don't think I gave accurate information on that when I thought it through. And then even this time, I put a lot of water on it. So biochar, once you get it wet, it stays wet. I mean, it doesn't dry out very easily. You have to just about put flame to it to get all of that water to release from it. If you ever look at it under a microscope, it's like I call it an apartment building. It's like this cluster of rooms, and they all interconnect, and there's only one door in, sort of. It's really something, the structure of it. That structure is there before we cook out all of the distillates. Make no mistake, that structure is there. It's not like the structure is created by the biochar or the pyrolysis process. It's not. That structure is there. We're just cooking everything out of it. It's not useful for this, and that's everything but the carbon. All right, so this is where it stands right now. I got that out of there, and we've got a day full of chicken processing, so I won't be able to get back to this, but I know that I've got no smoke or steam or anything coming off of that, so it's dead cold, and it will be stable until I can get back to it. The next thing that I'll do is, with this batch, I'm going to run it through the hammer mill, and I'll show that process. That's pretty neat. And break it all down to really small parts. If I just need it a little bit, like let's say I've got a group of chickens that needs some char, I can just take this and take a hammer to it and smash it all up. But if I have a big group like this and I want to shovel in, you know, loads of it, the hammer mill is the way to go. The hammer mill can handle a rock or something like that. Now with a load like this, or really any load, sometimes you have pieces. I had 3 this time that didn't actually completely make it. That's still a lot of wood on that. If you can see the grain on it. But only 3 of them. The rest of it came out really nice. Like, it maintains the shape of the wood, but it's just as light as a feather, and it's as brittle as can be. Here's an interesting piece. All the pieces are kind of different, you know. You pick them up and you feel them. They just are quite unique. One of these days I'm going to take a bunch of biochar and drill holes through it and make like a wind, you know, mobile, and because when they're dry, they're actually musical. When you hit them together, they strike a note, and I think it'd be interesting to have a bunch of pieces and see what kind of frequency sound you get off of them. And that's for another day. But that's the process from beginning to end, and the next thing we'll show you is the machining process, or the hammer milling. Mark from Baker's Green Acres, anyone can farm.